Hi there and welcome back to my channel. I'm Alexandra from Sesala Design or DIY. In my latest video, I have shown you how you can make a skirt sloper with your measurements. And today I want to put those skills into practice. I've decided to make a midi skirt starting from the basic skirt sloper. More precisely, a sequin skirt. I've started searching for inspiration and I found a lot of gorgeous sequin skirts on Pinterest. In the end, I've got this sketch and my plan was completed. Okay, so now let's see what you need to make this skirt. 1 meter of sequins fabric, 0.7 meters of lining, I just had some pieces left from another project, and 1 zipper. Next, we can move to the pattern. I started from the half basic skirt sloper. I took the front of the skirt and made a full skirt, copying in the mirror the other half. PS. Be sure that your center front of the half sloper is aligned correctly. Next, I will draw a parallel line with the center front line, starting from the dart's apex. You can choose either side. I prefer to have mine on my left side, and in the end we will have two pieces for the front of the skirt. Front piece 1 and front piece 2. Here you can see the pattern that I had for the lining. The difference between this pattern and the face pattern of the skirt is that this one still has darts. The dart on the side, without the slit, and the back dart. Keep in mind that this sloper doesn't have seam allowances included. Now, for the face of the skirt, we have to make some pattern transformations to make it into the final pattern. The first step, eliminating the darts, because it's easier to sew sequins without darts. So, I move the dart to the side, as you can see in this illustration. Keep the exact width of your dart on the side. Redraw the new hip side. Measure how long you want your skirt to be and add more to the hem. Now we eliminate the back dart following the same steps as before. We move the seam to the side, keeping the same width. Redraw the hip line and add the same length as we added to the front of the skirt. Here you will see the pattern for the face of the skirt. Again, the seam allowance is not included. You can add yours. I recommend you between 1 and 2 centimeters. Now that we have our pattern, let's get to the sewing part, starting with the lining. This is the sequin fabric that I choose and the lining. This lining I had from another project, so that's why I decided to make my lining shorter than the actual face of the skirt. If you want, you can make your lining as long as the face and have the same pattern for both. I started by sewing the darts. I measure where I wanted my slit to be. I use my iron to press each seam. And after I sewed the sides. Again, I use the iron to press each seam, a very important step. And finally, I use the serger for the sides. And because the lining that I had wasn't enough, I had to improvise. The serger helped me clean the edges for a neater look. I finished the hem with a rolled hem. Now moving to the face of the skirt. I measure the same length for the front slit. pressed open, I pinned the sides and sewed. Once again, I press open each seam. We can now attach the lining to the skirt. I use some interfacing for the waist. It's not a necessary step, but this is how I prefer to do it. So if you don't want to use interfacing for your skirt, you can skip this step. Mine has around 1 centimeter in width. I press it to the sequin fabric and also to the waist of the lining. I started to align the side seams of the lining to the side seams of the face of the skirt, face to face. I sew it together. I press the seam and I made an understitch on top. We can now attach the zipper. Fortunately, I found a shorter zipper that is a perfect match to the color of my skirt. Instead of using an invisible zipper, I used a regular one. I don't want to place the zipper directly to the sequin fabric because it will be more challenging to open and close the zipper. That's why I use 2 strips of the same fabric as the lining to place between the zipper and the sequin fabric. The strips are a little longer than the zipper, so you must measure your zipper. And I had to cut some sequins to prepare the fabric for the zipper. I also unstitched the lining on top a little bit, just to have the strip placed between the sequin fabric and the lining. I sewed at 0.5 centimeter from the edge. Next, I sew the edge of the lining. I pin the zipper to the skirt face to face. I sew it at 0.5 centimeters, very close to the edge. After I sewed both sides, this is how it will look. The next step was to sew the lining. I pin it to the skirt. And this time I use my invisible zipper foot to sew it. turn it, and the next step was to close the back of the skirt. First, I pinned the sequin fabric and sew it. Second, I pinned the lining and sew it. I pressed each seam again. The final details of the skirt. The following step was to finish the front slit. I measure where my lining will cover the edges of the sequins fabric. And for the rest, I use some strips again for a cleaner look. The strips were a bit longer as the portion that I needed to be covered, and 2.5 centimeters wide. After I sew them to the edge, I roll them and clean the edge. The next step was to sew the lining to the sequin fabric, one side at a time. The first side, the second side, I sew it face to face, and here is how the slit will look. I also cover each edge of the sequin fabric with those strips. For example, this is how the side seam looks. I did that because besides the fact that it will look neat on the inside, I will also be sure that the sequin fabric will not scratch my legs. I pressed each seam and I sewed the front of the slit to keep it inside. Of course, if you decide to go with the lining the same size, this step is not necessary for you. And now, we were ready for the final step, the hem of the skirt. Because I didn't have a lot of the lining fabric, I used another fabric to cover the hem. I cut a piece a bit longer than the length of the hem of the skirt. I cut it on the bias. I pin it to the hem, face to face, at around 1 centimeter. After I shortened the strip a little bit, in the end it was 3-4 centimeters wide. I roll it and pin it on the inside. I sew it and press it. And this was it. Now the look. What I love about this skirt is that it can be styled in multiple ways. I choose a more elegant casual look, but you can mix it with sneakers and a sweater and you're good to go. What do you think about this skirt? How would you wear it? Let me know in the comment section below. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you have any questions or advice, as usual my comment section is open. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up and share if you learned something new. Until next time, let's find inspiration.